Hello, everybody. My name is Manky. Today, I'm going to be interviewing Rod, and I'm going to get down to the gist of who is Rod, what's his background, where did he start, and what are some of his goals in life, and where's he gonna try to end up? Is the plan really? So, with further ado, we're going to start with where did you always live in Canada?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for taking the time to meet with me.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure, and it's great to put a face to the name. Yeah, I always lived in Canada my whole entire life. I grew up on the East Coast, so a very small town. Might have been, a couple hundred people in my neighborhood,
Hmm.
and I grew up in Prince Edward Island. So it's just off the coast, off the mainland here on the eastern coast. So we call it the Maritimes, and yeah, I grew up there my whole entire life. I was kind of all over the place, living on one side of the island, and lived in Charlottetown, the capital, for a while. I had a house there and a duplex, an income property. So I was all over the place, and just got sick and tired of the small town. I love the island, but I'll go back, on the like for a summer vacation or something like that. But yeah, I wanted to spread my wings. A lot of people, with regards to like the trade industry, they grow up in PEI and then they usually move outside of the province because they're looking for different types of work. So it's a very farmland. It's very agricultural kind of style and driven, and that just wasn't really for me. And actually, about 5 years ago, I started looking at other places to live, and I moved to Edmonton, Alberta, which is on the west coast. And yeah, so that was a
All
little
right.
bit about my history and where I lived. And yeah,
All right. So I see you always are in real estate and stuff like that. Did you ever take college courses for any of those, and or did you just pick it all up as you went?
mostly just picked it up from my dad and just my own knowledge. This is pre kind of internet days, so my
Yeah.
dad would buy properties and then fix them up and then either flip them, or most of the time he would just buy a very beaten down assets and properties, and then he would fix them up because he had the wherewithal, he had the background, he worked in construction, worked for home hardware as a manager as well. But yeah, built schools and stuff like that when he was a kid and just starting in the industry. Yeah, so he was very well versed, and we would go. I remember being like 8, 9 years old, and he would take us to these beaten down houses, and we'd be sleeping on the floor with our whatever you want to call a sleeping blanket, not even a real mattress. It was basically just floor and sleeping blanket. And it's the odd time, if we were lucky, we'd get an air mattress. But I wasn't really doing much. I was just kind of helping them. Back then these old houses had wallpaper everywhere, so that was kind of my deal. And job was just rip wallpaper off everything. And so I learned, kind of that hard work ethic. And I seen what my dad did. I seen what a lot of other people did in PEI, and I just didn't really want to live that kind of life. Just hammer and nail, so to speak. I wanted to, not knocking my dad. He's a very successful man. It's just not really what I wanted to do. I wanted to kind of use my brain, work smarter, not harder, if you will. And so I always, and I don't have a background in construction, so I had to be good with what I was good at, and I had to focus on the things that I was good at. And what I was good at was numbers and looking at market trends and things like that, and then just dealing with people, right? So I became a landlord when I was I think 25. So I just always had that drive and ambition, and like I said, good with working with people, and finding the right tenants is always a struggle, but I got pretty lucky for the most part. I had one or two that were less than awesome, I would say nightmare territory. But yeah, just kind of looking into the options. I always wanted to own my own house. I always wanted to own assets versus renting. And my dad always told me, what's the point of renting? You're just paying somebody else's mortgage. And then at the time, there was the rent was quite high, and I was looking at crunching the numbers, looking at what it would cost to rent. And I was renting for a while,
Yeah.
4 or 5 years of my first adult life. And then I was looking at a house, and I actually bought a duplex, my first property, and the mortgage on it was only like $700 a month. So and then each each side could bring in, $1,000 each. So you're
Yeah.
making a ton of cash flow there, covering all the utilities, and that just made sense for me. And then, I started to kind of develop some of those properties, just kind of finish the basement up and put a new bit, like I put a window in, an egress window in the basement, so I legally was able to make that into a 4-bedroom house
Hmm.
instead of a 3. And then I sold that house, my actual house in PEI, in 2021, and then I sold my duplex in 2022. So I benefited greatly from the pandemic and everything that happened there. It was a pretty hot spot to
Oh
live
yeah.
in PEI. So I probably had a little bit of an element of luck there, I guess, if you
Mhm.
will, with regards to properties blowing up. But yeah, I had a couple of properties in PEI, and now I moved to Edmonton, and I've got 5 condos. So when I live in, I've got 2 long-term rentals and 2 short-term rentals. So I've got your Airbnb, your Booking.com, your Vrbo on the short-term rentals, and then that's pretty much how I got here.
So what would you've been talking about? You worked at a pharmaceutical company for a while, and what was that time when you couldn't really stay in that corporate world anymore, that 9 to 5 kind of thing? When did you kind of walk away from that and start doing that stuff?
So I think I've always like didn't really enjoy working a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Didn't enjoy, like, I mean, it's nice to have the security and everything, but
Hmm.
I'm the type of guy that, it's not that I don't like working. I'll work for myself,
Oh yeah.
maybe 60 80 hours a week if I have to, but
Hmm.
just getting up and at a certain time, being somewhere at a certain time, and not being able to leave when I want. If I want to take more than a weekend off,
Yeah.
I got to get permission. So I was all over the place. I worked in the IT industry for almost 2 decades, actually.
Oh wow.
And I started off as of, like, just basically, sorry, my daughter's at my my door here. She's banging on the door. I think she wants to come in, but try not to lose my train of thought. She's almost 2, so she's getting into that curious stage.
Yeah.
But no, I worked all over the place. I used to work for Invesco.
Okay.
Didn't really know what I wanted to do. I took computer science in college,
Okay.
and then I went into developing websites, and then a thing called Wix came along, and then everything just got like super competitive and hard to find work, just because of that industry getting kind of flipped upside down, and it's just very easy for people to do it themselves, and just didn't really enjoy that. So I tried working for Invesco. So essentially, I was one exam away from becoming a financial advisor, and then I realized, it's stressful enough manage my own money, let alone other people's money.
Hmm.
And I just didn't really like the environment there. It was more of like a call center. I was told it was a contact center when I first started working there, and you're on the phone talking to people, but you're on emails, and you're half the time you're following up and managing people's portfolios and getting back to them about their portfolios. And I was like, oh, this sounds cool. And then it ended up just being another number on a screen, and if I didn't perform, it was just a lot of micromanaging, if you will.
Yeah.
And then I seen how miserable some of these financial planners were when they would call in about their clients, and I was just like, nope, not for me. And so I got kind of back to square one. So then I was looking back into the industry and the IT, and I decided to go into kind of more of the networking and the hardware side of things. And then I did that for, like I said, almost 2 decades.
Hmm.
And part of my work, I was working for different clients, right? Because I'm
Yeah.
working in the IT industry, and I was working for a pharmaceutical company, and some of the things that you'll see in the industry, and that industry is pretty crazy. Obviously, I didn't have all the the intel and insights to all the private stuff, but I seen the switch that
Hmm.
these companies have had recently, ever since the opioid crisis. And I'm a big supporter of MJ, the cannabis sector, and MJ's been a passion of mine since I was very, very young. And all they could talk about for 2 years was CBD and cannabinoid based types of medicines, right?
Hmm.
So once I seen that, I knew that we were going to see a massive change in this industry, both from a pharmaceutical perspective, but also from medicine of the future perspective, and
Yeah.
cannabis. And cannabis is obviously legal now here in Canada, and there's actually quite a few. There was actually quite a few cannabis companies that we had as customers as well, doing some of their IPVC, like their security camera stuff. So yeah, I worked in the corporate industry for a very long time. I guess I would say, to answer your question, when did I know? I would say probably the second I first got a job. I knew I didn't want to work a job, so
Yeah.
much rather be my own boss. And my first job ever was probably, I would say, top 5 worst jobs you could have. It was called roguing potatoes. I don't know. Do you know what that is?
No, I don't.
So, well, in PEI, we're known for our potatoes,
Uh,
shellfish, that kind of thing.
yeah.
But potatoes are the big ones. So essentially, what you would do is, I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning, 4:30. I'd leave the house at 5:30, quarter after 5, and then I would go to the warehouse. We'd all get on a van, and we would drive to this big field. I mean, sometimes it'd be a couple acres, sometimes it'd be hundreds of acres, and you just walk up and down a potato field and learn how to spot the infected plants, and then you would dig the plant out, grab the set, and then it'd quite often be rotten. So you'd pick up this rotten thing that smelled like god awful, and I don't even know how to explain it. You put that into the bag, and then you take the plant and put it in your bag, and then by the time you get to the end of this row, you got this massive big bag of plants, and you're just going through the muck, and it's the dews on the ground at that time of day. And I think I started when I was like 12.
Yeah.
So I did it for like 2 days, and then I was like, no. I quit. I was like, I tried my best, and then next year when I turned 13, I did it again, and then I did the whole summer, and then I think I did it maybe 1 or 2 more years after that. So I got my hands wet, I got my hands dirty. I probably did the worst labor job as a starting job, and then kind of learned the importance of getting an education and applying myself.
Yeah.
And then I got lucky. I knew a friend who worked at the bowling alley in our local town, and I started working there. So that was
There you go. Yeah.
really fun job. And I'd bowl when, for free, and I'd bowl when there was no one there. And then, so I would say at a very early and young age, I knew that I didn't want to work a job forever.
Wow. So you've been doing YouTube for a really long time. So a lot of people, what do you think is the most misunderstood thing about being a YouTube entrepreneur?
I think my approach is a lot different. I feel like most people go into the YouTube world with, the ambition and goal to just be the biggest and the best. And that's not really my approach. I'm not really here to just get views and, to wow people. I really want to, my dad said something to me when I was a very young boy, and he said, basically, speak to those that want to be spoken to. And I feel like my kind of style, what I have to bring to the table and offer people is not something that most people are going to be interested in. I don't want to just create videos for the sake of creating videos. I want to actually help people and create, some long-lasting relationships. Like, for example, yourself, Manky. We met through YouTube, and so I'll always have that, in the back of my mind, right?
Sure. Yeah,
and I appreciate that, and I don't just look at people as another number, or I see people all the time, like, going on through their analytics, and like I said, people are people to me. I don't care if you're from Europe or the Americas or wherever you are. I think everybody is who they are, and I always wanted to help people. I always wanted to kind of figure out how to make a name for myself in the cannabis industry. So once Canada legalized in 2018, I saw that as an opportunity to get into the space. And I've thought of a few different business ideas. I was starting like a Shopify store selling grow stuff, right? I was trying to sell like lights and grow lights and plants and all that kind of stuff, the hydroponics and the picks and shovels, if you will. And that just didn't turn out. And I started kind of just basically started a community for myself and a couple of other people that were interested in the cannabis sector. And then in about 2017, I got interested in crypto and introduced to crypto. So we started talking about kind of investment ideas there. And then that was in like 2017.
Yeah.
In 2018, I started my YouTube channel, and I just wasn't. I was pretty nervous when I got on the behind the camera. I'm not gonna lie, and
Oh,
it took me a while. Yeah, it took me a while. It was probably 2020, the summer of 2020, where I really started to crank out the videos. If you go back to my channel and just look up the oldest ones, you can see, you know, the first couple of videos that I made. And yeah, so I guess for me, it's just being true to myself, not just trying to make videos. I'm not here to try to get the next viral video.
Oh yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
I definitely see that. Yeah.
So yeah, that I guess that would be my thing, you know, with all of social media. Like the influencer word is kind of I don't know what kind of a term you would. It's almost like a laughed at term in today's world. You know, people are like, oh, you're an influencer, right? So I don't really like that term. I just like, you know, I'm a passionate person who likes to help people and cover the cannabis industry, the crypto industry. I've always been a techie as well, so you know, getting into crypto was sort of right up my wheelhouse. And then, like I said, just having an opportunity to have a platform to voice my opinions and my thoughts. That was the biggest thing for me. But biggest, you know, misconception about YouTube is that, yeah, I would say just everybody's just out to get views. Like that's not my goal at all. I'm not here to get you know, paid off of YouTube. It's very difficult to even make any money off of YouTube at all. So if that's your goal starting out, you get pretty down in the dumps pretty quickly, because like I said, it's pretty difficult to make money on YouTube. And you know, you do have to, if you want to get viral, if you want to get like a million views, a couple million views, like you have to have a really good act for that kind of thing. You have to have great video editing. You have to have a great idea. Not knocking those people that do that. It's just, no, that's not my style. I'm here to, like I said, just to bring my truth and speak my thoughts and opinions and have a platform to do it, and try to help as many people as I can while helping myself and my family along the way as well.
Yeah. So do you think anyone can build wealth, or do you think there are certain pre-required qualities to a person to do that?
Well, that's a great question. I think anybody can wire themselves, and it really depends what you determine and classify wealth as, right? Is it an abundance, like you could have an abundance of information, right? Like today we're wealthy with information. We have the answer to pretty much all life's problems, or you know, the answer to pretty much everything just at the tip of our fingertip. We can go on the internet, we go on Google, search anything, something we didn't have before, right? You'd have to go to the library, and then it'd be very difficult to get information. So now we're very abundant and wealthy with regards to information.
Yeah.
So it just depends. Most people, you know, they have the wealthy definition as tons of money, and they can do whatever they want and not have to look at the price tag of something, right? That's sort of the standard definition of wealth. I would say that's my definition as well. It's also about being healthy, right? If you can't live a healthy lifestyle and be happy, and you know, not just healthy physically, you got to be healthy mentally. So all of these things go hand in hand, because you know, what's the point of making, you know, millions and millions of dollars if you can't, if you're not going to be around long enough to see it, or if you're not going to have if you're not going to have the mental capacity to be able to handle it. Because if you look at most people who win the lottery, they go broke within the first couple of years, right? Because they don't know how to mentally prepare for that. And they, you know, there's a lot of you know, people that come to you with you know, they want handouts or help, and you know, there's all sorts of things. People get addicted to gambling or whatever it is, other stuff. So you know, for me, it's just having enough to, you know, support my family and not have to worry about where I'm going to get my next paycheck, or when my next dollar is going to come in. Just, you know, I've never had to worry about, you know, I see people all the time saying, you know, I can't wait, it's payday in 3 days or whatever. It's like, I'm not trying to brag or anything like that. I'm just
Oh
saying,
yeah.
like, even from a young age, my brothers are 6 years older, one's 12 years older, and they would always come to me when we were kids and be like, "Hey, can I borrow some money?" And it's like, "What? Like, you're 12 years older than me. You're 6 years older than me." I was just always good at saving money and just
Yeah.
appreciating money, and a lot of that had to do with my family and my upbringing. But yeah, I think anybody can do it. You just have to, like, I've there's never been anything in life that I haven't 110% committed myself to that I didn't do, right?
Yeah.
There's been tons of things that I didn't apply myself or didn't 100% give it my all that I failed at. There's been lots of those. But
Oh yeah.
anytime I said I was going to set out to do something,
Hmm.
and like I knew from the bottom of my heart that I was going to give it my all,
Hmm.
I can't think of anything that I didn't succeed at. So as
Yeah.
long as you have that never give up mentality, as long as you're doing something as well that you're passionate about, right? If you're not passionate about it, it's one thing to be, it's one thing to start a YouTube channel and be passionate about it now, or start a business and be passionate about it now. But are you going to be passionate about it? Are you going to want to do it a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now,
Hmm.
5, 10? So just kind of figuring that out. And then, like I said, just never having, just always having that never give up mentality, and finding something that you truly believe in. So
Hmm. So with that all being said, you'd say freedom, impact, and financial security is pretty important, right?
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So, with the rise of AI and misinformation, do you rely more on AI than other sources? And with that being said, have you seen bad advice being given from AI?
Yeah, I have to be. I use AI quite a bit, to be honest.
Hmm.
I don't use it as much as some people claim. Like, some people say I use it all day, every day. I just use it for tedious tasks. I
Hmm.
find a lot of it I have to double check.
Hmm.
So I don't typically use it, to be honest. I'll use it for like a few select things, just redundant tasks.
Hmm.
If it's like, hey, can you spell check this, or whatever, can you write this, take my write up and write it a bit more professional or something like that.
Hmm.
When it comes to, like, the finance world, you never know what you're going to get. It's like, yeah, it's like a box of chocolates. You just open it up, and it's like you got to read some of the stuff. I'll read it and I'll be like, I don't even know where it pulled this from. And it was like, as of today, this stock price was whatever. And I'm like, no, it's not. That it pulled back this amount of percentage. So, you really got to be careful with those sorts of things. And yeah, I mean, I don't, I don't think AI is fully there yet. Like, if you look at
Hmm.
where AI was a year ago, like, you could barely. It really is how you talk to it as well, but you could barely use it for anything. Like I said, it was good for those instances where you want to, like, correct some grammar and stuff. But
Yeah.
if you told it to generate an image or whatever and say this on it,
Yeah.
like font, the font would be all weird and the letters would be weird. Like, it didn't even make sense. And then now it's like, it's probably, I would say, 100 times better just in the last couple of years, maybe even the
Hmm.
last year. So I think it's really improving. Um, but I don't see too much, like, disinformation or misinformation from AI. I find it's maybe the opposite. It's a great way for you to query something and then just, not give it too. You got to be careful with that too, not sway it too much in any direction. But if you take, like, a neutral approach, it's kind of an awesome way to just, like, if you have a thought about something, then just kind of ask AI, get its opinion, and then you can kind of see where it goes from there. And if it agrees with you, disagrees with you, always a great. That's one of the things I like about AI, is like always having, like, another form of, like, if you go to Google, like, you can type stuff in and find answers. But
Hmm.
the thing with AI is you can have a conversation with it,
Yeah.
and just continue that thought process, versus whereas you go to, like, ancillary type Googling stuff, you just put in a question and it give you the answer. So, but yeah, I don't see too much disinformation or misinformation, to be honest, from AI. I'm sure there is, but I
Yeah.
haven't seen too many myself.
Do you see it as a threat, as a to a tool to increase human potential? Or
Yeah, I would say, there's obviously the threat as a concern. There's so much potential in just making our lives easier.
oh yeah.
I guess it really just depends like where the AI moves to. Like,
Hmm.
if we're just talking about like using it as a complement to our everyday tasks and life, okay. But as
Yeah.
soon as you start putting AI into a car
Hmm.
and it's driving for you, well, that's replacing the like tasks that we normally do.
Yeah.
Um, so, and then you have to think too, like I think it was Joe Rogan who was talking about it.
Hmm.
People like to do things that they've always been doing, and if you're in an industry where you're an expert at something, you take pride in that. So if AI comes in and disrupts an industry, or you're a
Hmm.
mechanic or you're a plumber or whatever, and AI comes in and robots and they can do it better than you, then like
Hmm.
I guess I'm not sure how that's going to affect people mentally, because like I said, if you used to be a plumber all day every day and you had your own plumbing business, and then all of a sudden you were just wiped out, like what do you do, right?
Yeah.
You're almost in a sense of uncertainty and in limbo. You don't know what to do with yourself anymore from a professional standpoint, and who knows, by then there's talks about like universal income, and there's going to be so much wealth and money to go around. We're going to have an abundance of money,
Hmm.
because robots and AI can work 24/7, 365, not take a break, etc. So productivity goes up.
Yeah.
But then there's the whole sentient version of AI. And I actually listened to the podcast with Jensen, the I forget his last name, CEO of NVIDIA, on Joe Rogan's podcast, and
Hmm.
he doesn't think that there's going to be any like immediate threat from AI, and I would agree. Like I don't think it's going to start thinking for itself anytime soon, and like he brought up a good point. Like why would it want to hurt humanity
Hmm.
uh, in the first place? So like the whole point of humans is we're like primates, right? We have that primal nature, and we're territorial, and that's a lot of us don't get along because we're that way, and we're just wired that way. Whereas, AI, why would it want to, kind of take on that, or why would it feel jealousy or envy or an ego, and why would it want to hurt us? So I thought that
Yeah.
really hit home, and I just think we're so far out. Quantum computing is something that I'm pretty worried about, obviously, but there's different
Hmm.
ways to protect against that. Companies are already starting to develop strategies for protecting against quantum threats. But yeah, AI, and obviously AI and quantum kind of go hand in hand. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I think it's more of a tool though than a threat, at
Hmm.
least in its current form.
Okay. So how do you determine where smart money positions itself?
Like in terms of a specific
So like
sector in the market.
BlackRock, we could say, or the Golden Sachs, or
Yeah,
Chase. You know.
it's a good question. Yeah, so like there's different screeners, there's different like Fintel, you can see, the
Hmm.
institutional ownership. That's not always a great kind of indication though that they're very bullish on a specific sector or stock. Like if you look at pretty much anything, there's all those big corporations and entities like BlackRocks and Fidelities of the world. They all own pretty much every stock there is. So,
Hmm.
yeah, it's more or less just looking at what, like, I guess, so the saying goes, don't listen to what they say, watch what they do.
Hmm.
So when Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, is talking about how terrible Bitcoin was, and it was for money
Hmm.
launderers and whatnot, right? You have to kind of, okay, I'll take that with a grain of salt,
Hmm.
and then you kind of ferment on that, right? You sit on it, you watch what they do, and then a couple of years later, they start to pivot. They're getting into ETFs. They've got a Bitcoin ETF, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of the time, it's called talking your book. And like, how do you know when they're getting in and out of the market? It's usually the opposite. So when they're talking bad about it, usually they're getting into the market, right? It's called talking
Hmm.
your book. And then if they're talking about how great something is, which he's recently done as well, Larry Fink was on I forget, CNBC or something like that. He was talking about how he was wrong about Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's amazing, and crypto's going to change the whole financial world, and this was they're gonna see tokenization of real world assets and everything, stocks and bonds, everything will be on chain and tokenized. And then that was just recently here over the last couple of weeks, and the market has been tanking. So usually when they're bullish, they're talking good. They're usually, trying to pawn it off on retail investors. That's why they go and they do their rounds on CNBC and your Fox Business, right? They want to get people bullish, and then they've been selling. If you look at the amount of Bitcoin that has been the outflows from a lot of the Bitcoin ETFs recently, they've been significant. And like I said, usually when like JP Morgan was telling people in 2018, it was telling its employees, if you talk about crypto to our clients, we will fire you. And it was later proven that JP Morgan was buying Bitcoin during that time frame, right? So of course they don't want their clients being talked to about it because they're buying it, right? Oh no, we'll push it to them later on after we're all loaded up. And then now they have JPM coin, and they're starting to offer different types of crypto in portfolios and advice on it, right? So all the money managers are getting behind it, and I think it was Bank of America who said the CEO gave the green light for their advisors to essentially allocate up to 4% of people's portfolios to crypto. So, kind of just seeing where, like I said, just watching what they do versus what they say. And to be honest, when a company comes on like BlackRock or JPM, if they come on and they're talking bad about something, well, why? What's the point? Why are you even talking about it if it's not valuable? So just throwing shade on it for the sake of throwing shade on it, I don't really believe in that. I think they're there. Like I said, they're talking their book. They're trying to keep the industry, back from growing. They want to position themselves, and then when they're ready, they'll start promoting it to their clients. And then generally, when they start talking bullish and they get overly bullish on something, that's typically a red flag where you're more than likely going to see some sell-offs. So.
Yeah. So beyond Bitcoin, XRP, MJ, what are the emerging sectors that you're also watching as well?
That's a good question. So, like, obviously, the psilocybin industry has a lot of promise. I'm not that passionate about it. Like, I definitely believe in the science, and I think it can be life-changing. I think it's going to be a big industry. I just I don't know if that's it's not really a passion of mine. It's not really something that I'm super interested in. I think it's going to be it's going to help a lot of people, and I just don't see how big that industry is going to get, because it's basically just going to be owned by big pharma, I think, when it's all said and done.
Okay.
And you're not really going to see the recreational side of it. It's going to be purely medical, I think. So I think that sort of limits the upside potential, if you will. Whereas, if you look at cannabis, you can wear it, you can eat it, you can make products out of it, you can, like the industrial side of it, it's a great healthier alternative to smoking and alcohol for leisure activity, and recreationally you can use it as medicine, right? So there's so much potential and use cases with it that it's going to be a huge sector. So that, outside of MJ, outside of crypto, what sectors? Like obviously real estate, always focusing on real estate in certain markets, right? If we were talking about Toronto, I wouldn't be touching it with a 10-foot pole. Same thing with like Vancouver and certain places in the US. But yeah, real estate, always a sector that I'm always focusing on, always looking at, the next market or something that's undervalued versus overvalued. But other than that, I think, some of the biotech companies, I think you're going to see some big opportunities there. Some of the new up and coming tech companies. So, Airbnb was another company that I was very much interested in. Uber, I think they're going to be another conglomerate. I was very interested in Tesla when that came around. A little, not so much anymore. I made my money off Tesla, and it's kind of like Bitcoin. When I sold it, I bought it very, very early on in 2017, 2018. Same thing with Tesla, and
Mm-hmm.
then sold it in around 2020, 2021. So basically just waiting for the stock market to see its inevitable correction. Nothing goes in a straight line forever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would say some of those biotech names and some of these new upcoming tech companies. I haven't really given it too much thought, but I'm sure if
Yeah.
I gave it a bit more brain power, I could probably come up with a couple of ones. But I'll have to let you know if I think of
Sweet.
anything else.
I'd love to hear it. So as a real estate investor, do you see the housing market crashing in the future, giving the chance for the younger generation to buy? If so, do you believe that would come, or how would you think that would come about in the coming years? If not, how do you see that going in the coming years?
So great question again. I think it really depends on the market as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you look at some areas of the world, like for example Prince Edward Island during the pandemic,
Yeah.
everything skyrocketed, and we had I think at one point we only had one person hospitalized. So the
Mm-hmm.
amount of the numbers were saying, move to PEI essentially,
Yeah.
and a lot of people want to move to PEI. It's a great retirement place and very slow living.
Yeah.
So a lot of people from the Maritimes were moving there, and a lot of different parts of the world, you saw property just overvalued, and then we're coming down, and it's cyclical. But for a long time, PEI was on the up and up for probably 5 years straight, 7 years straight, and
Yeah.
a lot of properties over doubled in
Mm-hmm.
value. And then, so I truly believe that it was going to see a correction. I went back to PEI, sold a couple of those properties after the pandemic, and when it was coming to a close, and like I said, I over doubled one house. How many times does that happen? And someone buy a house in 5 years, it doubles in value, over doubles in value.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty insane. So, the problem with most people is they live in a house, they can't sell it. Where are they going to go? So
Yeah.
I was lucky. I had two houses, and I moved into my duplex for a while, and then I rented it out. I was living in Edmonton, and then I went back and sold my duplex as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at Edmonton now, well, I came here primarily. One of the main reasons why I moved here, I love it here, but one of the main reasons why was because real estate was super cheap. Like you can buy a condo. Well, I'm not sure about now, but you could a couple of years ago for less than a Tesla. So
Wow.
right downtown Edmonton, I can walk to the Oilers game, the Edmonton Oilers hockey game, in 5 minutes. So we're literally right downtown.
Yeah.
So I took that as an opportunity. I saw that just when something like that doesn't make sense, generally that tells me you're going to see a big rebound. But what if there was a housing correction across the nation? Would Edmonton really be impacted? I'm sure it would, maybe a little bit, but I've seen so many people, not just interprovincial, but kind of coming from different countries as well, migrating here because it's so cheap. And I hear people all the time. I order an Uber, and they're like, "Oh, I'm from Toronto." So you get that a
Yeah.
lot. People moving here from Toronto, people moving here from Vancouver. So I don't think some places in Canada will see that big of a correction. I think
Mm-hmm.
Toronto, Vancouver, those are definitely ripe for a massive correction. You've got a lot of supply right now sitting on the market,
Mm-hmm.
and prices dropping as a result. And then in the U.S., I'm definitely not an expert with regards to the real estate kind of landscape in the U.S., but
Yeah.
I would say similar kind of. And you know what? I just thought of something too. It's we've been seeing data where states that have legalized cannabis, a
Yeah.
lot of their real estate prices have been going up. So
Mhm.
some people are actually using that as an excuse to want to move somewhere, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say your Miamis of the world, your Californias, those are due
Mhm.
for pullbacks. California's already been pulling back,
Yeah.
um, and then a lot of people are moving to Florida,
Mhm.
moving out of California, moving to Florida, and just a lot of my parents are in Florida right now,
Okay.
snowbirds, so they go down there for 3 or 4 months of the year now. But yeah, I do think there will be a correction.
Okay.
It's probably going to be more targeted in the bigger cities that have seen such big booms over the last decade or two. And one
Yeah.
thing I'll say is we don't really know what the future holds, right? Because with
Oh yeah.
the possibility of crypto, you can fractionalize. Like there's a company called Proppy. You can put your property on the blockchain. And there was another one, I can't remember, the name's escaping me at the moment. Another POWgroup member sent it to me,
Mm-hmm.
community member. And I remember reading this guy, he put his house on, it's an Airbnb.
Mm-hmm.
He lived in Albuquerque. He put his house on this platform. You could buy fractionalized shares. So
Mm-hmm.
you could buy, like he wanted 10% of the property forever, but you
Mm-hmm.
could buy, a couple of shares. You could buy, I think you could buy like $20 or $40 into this house if you want it.
Yeah.
And then you could buy as much or as little as you want.
Mm-hmm.
So this whole like democratization and fractionalized ownership is going to be really interesting because imagine Madison Square Garden tokenized,
Oh
and you
yeah.
could buy 0.001% of Madison Square Garden or something like
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah.
So the potential there's endless. Or
Mm-hmm.
some of these real estate moguls, if they decide to. If a certain person decides to put his hotel on there, there's so much opportunity. I just it's hard to say where it's going to go. If things are going to get way more inflated because of that, or are we going to see a correction first? I would say I'd probably lean on the side of major correction first,
Okay.
and then you're going to see a big boom, because you have to think, like, look at the record amounts of layoffs we've been seeing.
No, yeah.
Um, when the stock market is no longer hitting continuous all-time highs, which we know it's going to enter a bear market eventually.
Mm-hmm.
That's very much conjecture. No one knows when, but I would say, over the next 6 to 12 months, we're probably going to hit a peak, probably
Mm-hmm.
going to go into a couple-year bear market.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to start taking their money out of their investments to pay for, look at credit card debt right now. It's at like an all-time high.
Yeah.
So I think the trajectory we're on, I think we're more than likely going to see just a big capitulation event where, people are going to be hungry for jobs. AI is going to be competing with jobs.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are saying AI is going to help propel um, the bubble even further,
Mm-hmm.
the cycle even further. But I like to be devil's advocate. I like to look at it from
Yeah.
both sides of the coin. And yes, AI can make profits for these corporations indefinitely, but it's at the expense of people. Right? People they're laying off their people in by the thousands. So yes, AI can be great from a profitability perspective, but if we see unemployment records hit double digits or 20% or something like that, what do you think that's going to do to the market? I think that's going to spook the market, not necessarily prop it up even further. So I think
Yeah.
I think there's a lot that we just don't know yet. But yeah, if I was a betting man, if I had to look into my crystal ball, so to speak, I would say we're probably due for a pretty big correction, and then I think the real estate market and equities market will boom like it hasn't before. I would say
Mm-hmm.
we're probably, like, in terms of the internet,
Yeah.
with regards to tokenization and crypto,
Mm-hmm.
I'd say we're at like the 1990, like mid 1990s. I think we're coming on that .com era
Uh-huh.
where over the coming years you're going to see the whole financial system just completely transform. So
Mm-hmm.
it's an exciting time, but again, I have to put my thinking cap on and just kind of look at from both scenarios. And I think
Yeah.
that we're more than likely due for some sort of black swan, some sort of event where, either record unemployment or a
Mm-hmm.
cyber attack. It seems like every day now you see like Amazon Web Services going down, and like Cloudflare or CloudStrike, whatever it is. So yeah, I don't have a good feeling about the medium term
Yeah.
outlook. But yeah, I would say after this bull market ends, I would say we're probably due for a couple of years of pain, and then I think we'll see a market so frothy it'll make your head spin.
Mm-hmm. So, how do you, or how have your personal investment strategies evolved since using the algo that you've been developing?
So that has been something I've been developing for about 3 years now. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of it has been perfected. Kind of, I'm still always working on it. Right now, I'm not using it a ton personally because I'm basically just sitting on my positions, time in the market versus
Yeah.
timing the market. So the algos, they can be good for both. They can be good for short-term trades. They can be good for longer-term entries as well.
Mm-hmm.
But most of my positions were established before I really had the algo fully launched and working the way I wanted it to.
Mm-hmm.
But we were talking about this in the POWgroup private community, a little bit about the success rate that it's had, and I would say probably like 80 to 90% of the alerts have been pretty much hitting that accuracy. So playing out the way you would expect. I think for me, I'm more of a passive style investor. I'm
Mm-hmm.
more of a swing trader, but mostly just buy things when they're on sale, when they're cheap, when there's blood in the streets, and then wait till I'm financially enticed to do so and have a plan, right?
Oh
Have
yeah.
an exit plan, have your targets before you enter,
Mm-hmm.
and then just execute the plan. And then
Yeah.
over the next couple of months, I'll probably be looking to take a lot of profit on my crypto positions.
Mm-hmm.
And then with that capital, I'll be looking at some other sectors. Obviously cannabis comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of that I'll be taking for more of like a swing trade approach. So I'll be
Yeah.
utilizing the POW algo alerts a lot more. And I think some of those like extremely oversold alerts, like cosmic oversold,
Mm-hmm.
cosmic overbought, those are going to be really great for long-term entries.
Oh yeah.
And just like I said, continuously, I think we've got close to 500 different alerts. I
Mm-hmm.
think we've got like over 100 assets in there now. There's over 500 alerts now, custom alerts. So I
Mm-hmm.
continue to develop those, and yeah, I think it's going to be like the great thing about the algo is going to be when we start topping out on a lot of these tech names, you're probably going to see like 20 alerts go off simultaneously for all the mag 7. You're going to see the QQQs, SPY, when all of those ETFs and big mega cap names start to trigger sell alerts on the POW algo alerts, left, right, and center, all simultaneously. That'll give us a very clear indication that we're probably reaching the end of this bull cycle, and it could be a pretty rough time ahead for that. So you can use it as a
Yeah.
way to look to take some profits, or you
Mm-hmm.
can use it as a way to short the market if you're into that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's so many ways to use it, but basically what I did was I just put my brain into an algorithm,
Mm-hmm.
and it also, like, I've got a community of thousands of people,
Yeah.
and at any given time, some people I could have two or three people simultaneously be like, hey, can you take a look at this chart, or
Oh yeah.
look at this chart. And I'm like, okay, so eventually, I'm only one person. So
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
what better way to basically delegate my work than to put it to an algorithm? And I think it was Jam Losi who said, if you want access to Rod's brain, then sign up for the algo alerts. And that's the best way to get access to my brain without having access to me. So yeah,
Yeah.
if I'm on vacation, if I'm not, if I'm with my family, if I'm out at the grocery store, I can set the alerts, and you can look at the chart, and
Yeah.
you can say, hey, over the next couple of weeks, we might see this bullish indicator flash.
Mhm.
And then if it's in the algo, like what's the point of even looking at the chart
Yeah.
for an update if you have it in the algo alerts? You just wait for the email, you wait for the notification in Slack and the community, and then you make your trade based on that, right? So
Yeah.
it just takes a lot of time off my shoulders. I don't have
Mhm.
to worry about looking at the charts as much. And
Yeah.
again, I'm not a day trader. I don't want to be a day trader. Like
Mhm.
I've done some day trading. I've been successful at it. Like you've seen some of the success that I had with BTCC.
Yeah.
That was a whole different beast though, because you're introducing leverage, and perpetual futures are like insanely difficult. They
Yeah.
factor in, there's so many fees with them as well. So it was a great learning experience. It was fun, and I had I had some great success initially out of the gate, at least. But I think that being on the computer, I'm on the computer enough as is. I don't want to
Yeah.
be, whether it's my phone, whether it's my laptop. I just don't want to be on the computer all day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
So the day trading thing, just not really for me. It's more the swing trading aspect.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, using it as a way to, to delegate myself, to, have basically 8 to 10 different indicators that I always watch, put it into an algo, and then if you see one of those bullish alerts go off, well, okay, raise an eyebrow, I'm a little bullish. If you see
Mm-hmm.
2 or 3 of these indicators that you normally, or patterns uh, that you normally follow that are firing off, well, you're going to be even more bullish. Or if there's 8 bearish alerts that fire off, right? So
Yeah.
I think it's just an easier way to keep eyes on the market. And then, like I said, if you're a day trader, you can use it for that. If you're somebody who has an idea as well, you can let me know. If you have an asset that's not in the algo alert, you can let me know. I know you've already given me a few different suggestions that we've added there, and
Yeah.
you've given me a couple tickers that I never even knew existed. So, and then there was a couple. I can't remember. Was it MPW or something like that?
Yeah. Medical Properties Trust. It's
Yeah,
been on the bottom for a while. Still looks pretty
yeah,
good so far.
yeah,
I'm pretty
yeah.
happy.
Yeah, you've had a good eye
So
with some of these. You found some
I'm learning
hidden
from the
gems.
best though, so that's what matters.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So, do you, with all that being said, then do you see algo driven trading becoming a real majority of retail investors trading in the future?
Yeah, I mean we're already pretty much there. If you look at all
Yeah.
the big money managers,
Mm-hmm.
most of them don't even, like, it's pretty much all automated bot trading now.
Yeah.
And then there's even, it's not even just technical anymore. It's like a lot of it's sentiment
Mm-hmm.
driven. They're going out on social media and they're looking
Mm-hmm.
at different, is 80 to 90% of people bearish? Well, if they are, then we're probably going to be bullish. So it's just that opposite of the herd mentality.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, overall, in a nutshell, I just, there's so much, like that we don't see,
Oh
right?
yeah.
There's so much,
Yeah.
like, how do we really know? Um, I would just say, like, one thing that we can really notice is when there's a headline,
Yeah.
like when a headline comes out, how quick things are to react now. And it's
Mm-hmm.
probably not a person
Yeah.
reacting that quickly, especially when it's like a tweet from a president or something like that, and like
Mm-hmm.
everything reacts so quickly. So I think a lot of it's like word-based, keyword, searches and
Oh yeah.
triggers, that type of thing. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. Like, in terms
Yeah.
of, um, different bots. I would say that's why day trading isn't as appealing as well, because
Yeah.
you're each day, each week, each month, it gets harder and harder and harder to compete with these algorithms. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I wanted to create my own algorithm as well, is because if you can't beat them, join them. And
Yeah. Good
hard to
statement.
say. It's because they don't have emotions, right? Like
No,
these
yeah, absolutely. It's a
automated
business is
trading
what they
bots.
say. So
Yeah. So, and it's
yeah.
all, again, it's all how you feed it. I mean, I remember back, looking at the floor days where, these
Mm-hmm.
people are on the trading floor and
Mm-hmm.
they're waving, I'll buy it. It's like, where we've come, where we were versus where we are today. It's kind of reminds me of like how I started the interview was, when I was younger, I looked at my dad and what most people were doing in the industry and as a job and as a trade and how to make a living. And
Yeah.
I wanted to, I just wanted to use my brain more than my hand, right? So more the
Mm-hmm.
physical thing. And it's kind
Yeah.
of like where you look at the stock market, right? Where we used to be,
Yeah.
people, money managers, and you'd be on the floor in the stock market, you'd be right there. And now you go there in New York, the floor is, it's like crickets, right? There's barely
Oh
anybody
yeah.
there. It's just a bunch of screens, and everything's done on your phone these days, right? So, yeah, it's doing things in a different way,
Yeah.
and not that it's better or worse. It's just, I think, it's making things, our lives, a lot easier, and doing things smarter, not always harder.
Yeah. So, what's your biggest edge as a trader that no AI algo can replicate?
I would say another great question. I would say just learning how to um, basically do the opposite of what most people would do.
Yeah.
Um, just thinking like a money manager, just trying to use that contrarian mindset. I would say that's probably my biggest edge. Just putting myself in the shoes of a money manager or a market maker,
Yeah.
and just trying to put, like, what would I do if I were in their situation?
Yeah.
And if you can follow the big money, if you can follow the whales, you're not always going to beat them. But if you're
Mm.
nimble, if you can basically swim like a dolphin, right?
Oh yeah.
If you can learn to pivot when the whales do,
Hmm.
and not get eaten like the fish, you'll probably do well. But yeah,
Yeah.
I would say just trying to think like a market maker, think outside of the box, and be more open-minded. And yeah, I would say as a trader, that's always been my edge. I'm constantly like just learning and improving. I'm the type of person that always wants to see that continuous improvement. So
Yeah. So, are you a book guy? Do you like read books a lot for trading and
uh,
investing and stuff? Did you ever
I,
read
I
stuff? Do
used
you have any
to.
recommendations?
I don't really have any off the top of my head. I like in
Hmm.
terms of investing, I don't
To
really.
learn.
No, I basically just learned everything on YouTube, learned
Yeah.
everything. Google Investopedia is a great resource as well.
Hmm.
But in terms of books, I do a lot of reading as it
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
just like news articles. And you know, just today, like I was in the POWgroup private community looking at some of the, because we have like the automated news feature, right? So
Yeah.
I feed it like 10 or 12 different media companies and news outlets, and then it factors in and pulls in all of the news, and then separates it into certain categories like MJ
Yeah.
news, crypto news, general news. Just in the crypto news channel today, this morning when I woke up, it took me like 20 minutes just to read through all the articles, and then that's just the titles, and then you
Yeah.
can click and then read the full article. So yeah, there's a lot of I don't really read a whole lot of books these days. Most
Yeah.
of the books that I did read were some of the personal development books.
Hmm.
So that, I was big into that. One book that I'd really recommend reading is Aspire. That one's
Okay.
really, really good.
Hmm.
And Awakening the Giant Within is another great one as well. Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Hmm.
I can't say enough good things about that one. There's some controversy around this one. It's called Homo Deus, or
Hmm.
Homo Deus, however you pronounce it. It's basically looking at like a post like civilization world, but
Yeah.
they had the book Sapiens there. You ever heard of that one? It's basically like the history of humans, and how we're about 400,000 years old,
Hmm.
and just talks about the evolution of our species. But
Yeah.
then Homo Deus is like human god. So it was human being, and like there was different versions like Neanderthals and Homo erectus and human
Hmm.
beings, right? So now we're on to like human gods,
Yeah.
essentially. And this book just talks about the future.
Yeah.
And the book Sapiens was really good. Um, Yuval Harari, I think his name is. It was cool. Like it was very informative. It was great to learn. But like, I personally just don't really like learning about history, because yes, sometimes history can repeat or rhyme.
Yeah.
But when it comes to that type of stuff, like I'm just more interested in the futuristic point of view, right? I'd like
Oh
to
yeah.
know, and obviously no one has a crystal ball, but if you read a book about somebody's opinion on the future and they wrote a book about it, they probably know somewhat, a little bit of what they're talking about, right? Because they've
Yeah.
wrote a book on it. They've probably done some research, and it's a number one best-selling book. So there's some controversy around whether or not this person is a good person or not a good person. I remember my brother, when I recommended this book to him, he's very religious now. He was just like, this person is, anyway, I won't get into what he said about it, but
Yeah. Yeah.
he did not appreciate that I recommended this book at all. He thought it was the worst thing ever. But I'm not here to push a certain
Oh yeah.
idealistic nature or belief on somebody.
Hmm.
I just was very interested in the whole, because I think the book was like published in 2016 or something like that, and it was talking about Tesla and
Yeah.
how valuable that was going to be in the electric vehicle industry. And imagine if I would have read this book in 2016 and I'm learning about Tesla,
Oh
and
yeah.
then I'm able to invest in Tesla, and then look what happened in 2020. Like,
Yeah.
absolutely blew up. So I'd rather learn about the future than focus on the past. But obviously, it's good to learn from others' mistakes as well, and other people's successes as well.
Yeah.
So I'm more into the personal development side of things these days. Like I said, in terms of specific investing books,
Mhm.
I'll think of some. If I think of some, I'll let you know. But it's
Cool.
mostly just YouTube, Google. You have AI now as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
So I've always been the type of person to utilize the free resources first, and then I'm a visual learner as well. So having a video to go along with it as well,
Oh yeah.
and getting my hands and feet wet as well. If I'm not, I can read a book or you can speak to me until I'm blue in the face, but until I actually do it myself, that's when I'll learn everything basically in a matter of minutes.
Mhm.
If I'm on, like, for example, like BTCC, when I was learning that derivative exchange and the futures based contracts, perpetual futures, I'd read about it and I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But once you actually start trading and doing it, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
this makes a lot more sense. And obviously, if you're going to start getting into trading and whatnot, you want to start with a little bit of money and then kind of learn the ropes, and then start to introduce more risk, more capital as you go on.
Yeah. So when you're not busy, what do you like to do for fun?
I like to play guitar. That's probably my biggest pastime and hobby. Very big into music, listening to music, going to
Mhm.
shows. Very big into sports as well. So I used to play quite a bit of sports. Don't play so much anymore these days, but something that I'd like to do more of. And yeah, just like going, hanging out with friends, family, hanging out with my daughter
Oh
and
yeah.
my partner. And yeah, I work quite a bit. I
Yeah.
don't mind working as long as you're enjoying what you do. It doesn't really feel like work. So
Definitely
I
agree with that.
make videos on the weekend. My time that I could be spending with my family, and I'll come
Mhm.
on and do like the rapid fire news updates on a
Oh yeah.
Saturday. And
Yeah.
I look forward to that. I like coming on, and it helps me because I'm kind of staying on top of the news myself, and
Mhm.
it gives me a bigger purpose, I guess, if you will, and holds me accountable. And then just having my morning coffee and doing the news update videos is pretty cool. And yeah, just having a good time as well. I work hard, I play hard. I like to go out hang out with friends quite a bit, and yeah, I love trying new beers as well, craft beers. That's
Oh yeah.
one of my favorite things ever.
Do you have a favorite movie or show?
Favorite movie? Um, oh man, that one's a hard one. Um, I mean, one comes to mind, but I don't know if I should say it. I would say probably Blow with Johnny Depp. That's always been like one of my favorite. Just such a, I've seen it like a million times. Shawshank Redemption is really good.
Oh, I love that
Um,
movie.
yeah, I can never pick one or two movies when someone says it, but Reservoir Dogs, another one. Yeah, Pursuit of Happiness. There's so many good ones.
So, where do you see the POW group in 5 years?
In 5 years,
Yeah.
it's hard to. I've never thought about it that way. No one's ever asked me that either. Great question. I would say I see it as more of a, like, I would say more hands off. Like I don't want to
Mhm.
be as involved.
Yeah.
I want to like maybe get some people working for POW. I want to get maybe some different moderators, maybe some
Mhm.
people who want to join as well, like help grow the business,
Mhm.
grow the community. So maybe just relying less on myself.
Yeah.
I think I kind of, my dad rubbed off on me there is like, want it done right, do it yourself
Oh yeah.
mentality.
Yeah.
And I definitely am that way. but at the end of the day, I know that you only have so many hours in the day. You only have so
Oh, yeah.
many energy cells and brain cells to operate. So delegating yourself and having more of a team, whether it's another analyst coming on or somebody else who does some analysis and um, I don't know, like a partnership
Yeah.
content creator, or if it's a virtual assistant or a videographer, somebody who helps me edit. Because right now, like I do everything. I
Yeah.
do the thumbnails, I do the content research, I do all of the production, I do all the editing, all the uploading, all the social media stuff, all the promotion and everything, although there's not a whole lot of promotion. But yeah, all of those things. I did hire a marketing agency as well. So that
Mhm.
really helped, kind of get the word out, and they helped develop more of a funnel and just, utilizing different ads, like ad services, like, YouTube or sorry, Google ads and
Yeah.
Facebook ads, that type of thing. So yeah, just relying more on third party support and just looking to grow the community as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's where I would see it. And then another goal of mine is to, like, I've already seen tons of people achieve whatever they are looking to achieve, whether it's financial freedom. And financial freedom, again, it's kind of like the wealth meeting that we talked about, right? It's everybody
Yeah.
has a different meaning and version of it. But my biggest goal over the next 5 years is to help others achieve that financial independence as well. So,
Mhm.
yeah, it's pretty awesome just seeing right now in the community, and I'm sure you've seen it as well. Some of
No,
these people
absolutely.
that are posting, their port. I don't think too many people show their actual portfolio.
Yeah.
And numbers and things like that. It's a little different
Mhm.
when you're inside a small group versus,
Yeah.
online. But
100,000
um,
people or whatever.
yeah, millions of people on maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, just I've already seen people's lives change just as a result, and the amount of people that have reached out to me and be like, "Thank you so much for introducing me to XRP when it was at like 20 or 30 cents, or certain like Oxley when it was at a penny or 2 pennies." And
Oh, yeah.
it's pretty awesome when people are reaching out and saying that my work or more my research or my videos have changed their lives. So if I
Yeah.
could, maybe another dozen or 2 dozen people over the next 5 years that tell me that, I never have to worry about money ever again, I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. So, what is the most rewarding success story that you've gotten from community member?
I would say, oh, that's another good and difficult question. I would say, like, one person said that they basically were able to like pay off their house.
Yeah.
That was a pretty cool story. Um, I would say a lot of people just commenting on my videos saying, you changed my life, forever grateful, that kind of thing. I haven't really seen too many like anecdotal like situations
Yeah.
where they really go into the full story. But yeah, like I said, one person said that they paid off their house, and they were basically living mortgage free,
Yeah.
and now the sky's the limit. If you pay off your home and you're living,
Zero
mortgage
debt.
free, and well,
Yeah.
yeah, if you don't have any other debt, that's usually people's main source of debt, right?
Hmm.
Is having a mortgage and having those payments, and if you can get that, you're still gonna have to pay property taxes, you're still gonna have to pay your utilities and everything like that, right? But that, especially in this day and age with the rates the way that they are and the prices of everything, if you can wipe out your mortgage, you're probably doing better than 99% of people out there. So yeah, I would say that's probably the best story that I heard.
How does the group support newcomers?
I think everybody's very welcoming. I think when someone joins the group, I usually welcome them myself personally, and then most of the the members now reach out, say welcome, happy to answer any questions. So I think the biggest thing with the group is utilizing the different channels and utilizing, um, again, it's great that people want to reach out to me, but you know what, like the true form of success, I guess, is when I see other people talking as if it were me.
Hmm.
When they're responding the same way that I would respond, or when they're looking at a chart and somebody says, hey, can you look at this chart and give me your thoughts and opinions, and then sometimes people will jump in.
Yeah.
And I tell people to do this all the time. Like, people will message me directly in a direct message and they'll ask me to analyze something, and that's fine. But I would recommend just putting it in the channel, and then you also get perspective from multiple different people as well. Some people have a more of a trading mentality, more of a swing trade, more of an investing style. So just getting all different angles, I think, is a great way for people to come in, and then seeing multiple opinions and strategies. And then, like I said, just when somebody asks about a chart and then one of the other members responds and they say, hey, there's this pattern, and I'm like, oh, that's exactly what I was going to say. So I think that's probably the coolest thing, is just seeing other people develop and really start to get it, and to give their thoughts and opinions, their 2 cents on the situation.
Yeah. So for my final question, I never asked, what is your age?
I am 35.
You're 35 years old?
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah. How old are you?
I'm 24 years old.
24, right?
So, yeah, 24, going to 25. And
yep. Oh, it goes by quick, man.
Yeah.
I remember when I was 24, I was just buying my first home in, or maybe I was 22, going on 23. Yeah, I think it was like 2012, 2023, 2012, 2013 is when I first bought my home. Yeah, it would have been, because I sold my house. I bought the duplex and I moved into my house a couple of years later.
Yeah.
And then I sold my house in 2020. So yeah, and that I had owned it for about 5 years. So yeah, it goes by quick, man. It's something that it's kind of scary too at the same time, right? I just had my first child, my daughter. She'll be 2 here next month. And just seeing how fast she's growing up, and just living in the moment is really what I recommend. And don't wish your life away. I see so many people say all the time, oh, I can't wait till I'm 18, I can't wait till I'm 21 and I can go to the States, and I can't wait till I'm this age, I can buy a house. And just like I say, don't wish your life away, enjoy the moment, live in the moment. And it's
if I'm correct, if I remember, your birthday was in March, and mine's in March as well. March 23rd is my birthday.
Mine's the 15th.
Wow, look at that. March baby.
Yeah, a week apart.
That's awesome.
There's a lot of March babies.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think I've kind of hit everything about you, really, and we've aimed and answered, I think, the question of who is Rod POWgroup. With a pleasure to do. Like and subscribe, I'd say. And join the POWgroup. Great community. I'd recommend it. Great to bounce off ideas and get information and learn some things or two about how to trade, invest, and real estate, and etc.
Yep. Personal development, all the above.
All the above. Anyway.
I appreciate you taking the time. And what would you say, if I could ask you a question, what would you say is your biggest takeaway, or the biggest value that you've received from the POWgroup community?
I would definitely say being able to not only visualize, but interpret marketing structure of the highs and the lows, and being able to learn how to a bull target, and bull flags, and cup and handles, and things like that, and actually putting them into fundamental use. That's I would say obviously really important for trading, but also long-term investment as well, for holds. And
so basically just like the communication style, the learning.
Absolutely, being able to bounce ideas off of other people, and just seeing if you're right or wrong, I guess, in other ways too. So that's kind of important as well. Being able to be told that you're wrong, is, I'd say, really important, in being able to hear them out, even if you may 100% think you're right. It's not
Yeah.
not always that term. Sometimes, most of the time,
Yeah.
whatever. So
So true. I've said that too. Like in my experience and in my journey, when I was first starting into technical analysis, learning, bull flags and bear patterns and, all these different technical kind of words, it was very overwhelming, and it was like learning a new language.
no, yeah,
And for like, I would say probably like a year, I was like, like I thought I knew what I was talking about. I thought I knew
yeah.
what an uptrend was versus a downtrend. And then,
Yeah, that was me for
yeah,
a year, and then
like you said, if
kind
you
of,
don't have somebody there if you don't have a community, if you don't have somebody
oh yeah,
there to tell you, it's not that we're telling you you're wrong. It's just like, no, that's not how, like, we really view
yeah,
that, or it's not really the case, or you could be right, but not in this context or something like that. Right.
yeah,
And then, having that, and that's why I like AI a lot too, is because
mhm.
it's, you're not just, hey, what's a bull flag on Google? And then it tells you what a bull flag is. And then you're like, okay, but, and then you say, okay, well, now that I've learned what you said it was, this is my version of it. And then you can talk to AI and be like, hey, is this correct? And then it can have a conversation
Oh,
with you. So
absolutely,
I think
yeah.
that's pretty cool. But like you said, you got to double check all the stuff coming out of AI these days. And
Hmm.
there's been times where I'd like ask AI something and I'd be like, no, that's not correct. And then I would tell them why it wasn't correct. And it'd be like, no, you're right. Now that you told me that, and then the answer would completely change. Right. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, that's awesome. It's been great having you. How long have you been in the community now? It's close to a year, I think, right?
yeah, maybe or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just watching the channel over just 3 years
Yeah.
or so, just about maybe a little bit longer than that even.
It's awesome.
But
Yeah. We've got some people in the group that have been in for like 2 or 3 years. And,
yeah,
yeah, it's like I said, after that first year into the second year
oh
three,
yeah,
it's just the amount of progress that you see is something to behold for sure.
absolutely.
Yep.
All
Well, I
right,
appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And
You're very welcome.
this was a
Yeah,
good
we'll
time.
have to. Yeah, it was. I really enjoyed it. We'll have to do it again sometime soon.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. All right.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'll see you later.
Take care. We'll talk to
Take
you
care.
soon.
Yep.
Take care.